Hey, what's up guys? Steven, the Salon Guy here, and this is a very, very exciting moment for me and also for technology and also for the salon industry. I'm bringing you the first ever 360 haircuts. And this is also virtual reality if you have something like Google Cardboard, which basically you can put your phone in here, and when you play this video back on YouTube or on your phone, the YouTube, you can put your eyes up to the Google Cardboard and you can literally virtually look around and see everything I'm doing. Technology is here, folks, and I'm bringing it to the next level, and I'm super excited to be presenting this first ever type of haircut to you guys. So, what are we doing today? We are doing a haircut on a mannequin from Hair Products, and now, just so you understand, if you're viewing this for the first time, I suggest viewing this on you can watch this on your iPhone or your whatever phone you have, and you simply put your finger on the screen and you can move the screen around to see where I'm going. This is 360. You can see everything around me. Okay, that's what's so cool about this. You can really drag your finger across the screen and it's 360. That's what's really, really cool about this. Again, if you have the virtual reality, glasses or any type of technology like that, you can literally put it up to your eyes and look around and see everything around me, what's going on in my studio. Now behind me I have a mirror, so I'm hoping that you can see the mannequin from the mirror and the reflection by just simply spinning it around so you can get a couple of different angles, okay? If you're viewing this in YouTube on your computer, what you can do is you can simply drag your mouse around the screen, put it in full screen, and you can see the same thing in 360. So this is really, really exciting, and I'm really, really pumped and ready to go. So here's the first haircut I'm ever doing with this type of technology, and as you can see here, this mannequin, okay, this mannequin basically, it's got a pretty kind of old school mullet, really kind of butchered haircut, and this is a great haircut for trying to figure out, what to do with someone in this situation. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm using a 3 3/4 guard. Okay, this is an Oster clipper and a 3 3/4 guard, and what I'm going to do, there's all this hair down here, as you can see, a lot of hair down here, and I'm simply going to use the clippers and I'm going to remove a lot of the excess right off the bat. Okay, we're going to get rid of all this. Look at this. Kiss this mullet hair goodbye. Okay, and now I'm just literally going to continue up the back of the head. All right, and then I'm not using any comb yet, but I will in a minute because I want to get the majority of this hair out of here. So I don't want to go super short with this, but what I do want to do is I want to be able to have something where it's got a little bit of length, as far as we're not buzzing it down to a 0, or we're not buzzing it down to something really, really short where you can see the skin, but just enough that it's still considered shorter, but you can also style it in a variety of ways without it being too short. So I'm pushing, as you can see here, I'm literally pushing and move the screen along so you can see the different angles. I'm pushing the hair into the comb. All right, and what that's doing is that's allowing the hair to come right off through the clippers. Okay, I see a lot of people cutting hair where they're sitting there trying to flick this out, this and that. Why I do that? I'm creating my own visual guideline right in through here so I know exactly what I'm doing, where I'm going to be cutting, the next step, all that stuff. Okay? This, you're going to be sitting here for 45 minutes trying to flicker it out. That's cool, but I like to be really a little more precise with my haircuts, and that's why I'm doing this. So, and obviously, as you can see, this takes a little bit of time. And now we're going to start working in through the sides. And the sides now, this particular mannequin has a beard, but the sides are where we're going to also connect right into here as well. So again, same thing. I'm pushing the hair into the clipper blade because that's going to allow it to come pretty much right off a lot more easy than if I were to sit there and try to flick it out like this, because it's not going to be as precise. And me, for myself personally, I'm not going to be able to see where I have to blend out that line. So a little bit of flickering, but not really a lot. Again, we're going for a look that's going to be somewhat clean, not super short, and that's going to be great for this. This is so exciting, everyone. I really hope you are enjoying this. I'm not going to be doing this every single video because I simply can't. Well, actually I can, but I'm just going to be doing this, maybe I'll come up with some sort of new, private content or some new kind of private tutorials for you guys, where only certain people can have access to it. If you, I don't know, join up a membership with me or something like that. I don't know. This is all new. All brand new to me. But I really, really want to know in the comments if this is giving you a better perspective of everything, of what I'm doing. All right, now, and we're trying to do this all in one take as well. So bear with me, it might be a little bit of a quicker video. Okay, so that's done. I always like to take a brush. As you can see here, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see I have a tray down here, and that's where I have my tools. So what I'm doing now is, this is a little also sneak peek. Look and see what you see there. See that little logo on there? So now we're going to do some scissor over comb. And what we're doing is I'm using the Y teeth, and now I'm simply just going to, and the hair is dry, because I want to get through this a little bit quicker. But what I'm doing is I'm simply picking up where I left off, and I am using scissor over comb to now work this up into a longer shape. Okay, I'm using my thumb and working my way up and around through the back and through the sides. And this is pretty standard, but keep in mind what we're doing is we're making over, a shape. We're doing a makeover kind of haircut on this mannequin here because this mannequin was in dire need of a makeover, of a new haircut. You got this really short hair here, you got all sorts of stuff going on. All right? Now, depending on how fast you can work, it's totally up to you. But I'm trying to get through this a little bit quicker just for the sake of the video and the tutorial. And also time-wise. I believe this only has about 25 minutes or so per clip. So I'm hoping we can keep this way under that. All right, and also, guys, this is the first of this kind. So this is really, really exciting. I'm also curious to see, as far as the angles go, the camera angles. Which works best, which is, doesn't work, all that kind of stuff. This is all, like I said, really, really new. So what I'm doing now is I'm simply just doing scissor over comb to blend this all in throughout the back and the sides. And the goal here is to cut the top to probably about, I'd say, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches or so. 2 inches, because we have to match up this. And now, as you see, we're getting a little bit higher now through the top back of the head. And that is where we have to start to determine how long are we going to have this throughout the top. Because you want to keep everything balanced. All right? Right now, for the most part, we're just trying to chop hair, to get through this a little bit quicker. Okay? Trying to get, and this is how you work fast. Sometimes you're in situations where you got to work really, really fast, really efficient, and speed is of the essence. Let's turn the camera this way. You can see right here. And I apologize if my arm is in the way, but the cool thing about this is that you can move my arm out of the way. All right, so around here, as you can see, again, the hair is still dry. All right, the hair is still completely dry, and I like to work dry because for this particular situation, scissor over comb, because I can see everything. I can see all the lines, I can see where I have to get them out, I can see this. I mean, to me, if you start cutting hair with clippers and scissor over comb and it's wet, it's just not as precise and not as accurate. Okay? And the comb and the scissor, remember, they're working together as one. All right? using your thumb and working it in. See, we're creating a nice blended shape now, right in through here. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're getting closer to having a nicer blend in through here. And now we're getting closer to the top. And now what you want to do around here is you want to follow the comb around the head shape. That's what's really, really essential when cutting any of these types of haircuts. I always like to follow the natural contour of the head because that is going to give it the best overall shape. Now, depending on the face shape of the person, it really depends on the haircut. But majority of the time, for a shorter textured look like this, I'm pretty much following the round of the head. And that's simply by laying the comb flat and working upwards this way. Now, you don't want to lay the comb flat and continue to work because you might cut this too short. So what I like to do is lift the comb and work with the shears until it's basically the hair's out of the comb. Because then we can work on, and look how nicely this is coming in now here, as you can see that. We still have this side to do. Okay, don't forget, we still have this side. But that allows you to really have a softer connection between the sides and also the top. Okay. Now, here, I apologize again if my hand is in the way. This is a learning experience, folks. I apologize for the background noise because where my studio is, it's downtown and there's buses everywhere. So I thoroughly apologize for the noise. If you hear sirens, there's a hospital nearby, there's a firehouse nearby. I mean, literally, it's just like a really, really busy area. And that's what's going on. That's why we hear all sorts of crazy stuff going on here. All right, trying to work this area in right through here because I seem to have botched it up previously. But now we're going to extend this straight up the head shape. Okay, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of it on this side. So here is, and the key to this, as you can see, when it's working when it's dry, is that it allows you to just kind of see everything. That's why I like working dry with men's haircuts a lot and scissor over comb, is because you can literally see everything right there. As soon as you cut it, when it's wet, it's not as precise to me. It's literally not as precise. I hate to say it, but it's not as precise for me. Maybe some of you guys it's easier, but the more you work scissor over comb, the more you work with your hands when cutting like this, you're realizing that you can do everything a lot more efficiently and much quicker if you do it dry. Now, the only time I really go in wet, which I probably will a little bit on top, is to cut the top. And I always suggest cutting longer sections and longer areas. I suggest doing that when it's wet, just because it's easier to control. You can see everything a little bit better, but don't be afraid to cut the majority of it dry, especially for time purposes. If you're in a time pinch, like we are, we're trying to see how fast we can get this done, don't worry about it. Do it dry and then go back in when it's wet. This is also good for speed. If you're new at cutting, this is really, really helpful. And then if you're not a hairstylist, obviously a lot of my viewers aren't stylists. This haircut is a great haircut for the summer. It's a great haircut really for any time. And considering, as you can see on this mannequin, it's got a beard. And the beard also plays a really cool part in this whole thing as well, because it just adds kind of a more rugged type textured look, and it adds a little more character to the whole thing. So let's see how we're doing. Let's brush our client off here. All right, make sure you always want to brush off the hair. Okay, make sure it's nice and clean work area. So now I'm going to focus a little more on the top. And here's where I'm going to spray down a little bit. All right, I'm going to obviously try not to get the camera, but I'm using a cool spray bottle from Hair Art Products that you just hold it down and the water just kind of sprays out like that, which I think is really, really cool. So now that I'm working the water through the hair, now I'm able to kind of see a little bit more as far as where the shape is and the length on top. Because now it's telling me, okay, this is what I need to do, this is where I need to work it, and then I'll go back in, and even if I have to dry it, you know, we can do that too. Now I'm using I'm standing right in front, all right, literally I'm right in front of, or behind the mannequin this way, depending on where you're looking, but I'm right behind. And what I'm doing now is I'm combing the hair to where it's probably about, I'd say, 1.5 inches the most in length, right through at the top. And I'm cutting this right parallel down the middle. All right, I'm not doing the corners yet or anything. I'm taking this right down the middle. And if you can see, all right, oh my gosh, it's a mess down here. That's the one thing about virtual reality and 360s. You get to see all the mess that we make. But there's hair everywhere all over the floor, which is fine. All right, I'm literally standing right behind where I'm cutting. And that's the thing about body positioning is you always want to make sure you're positioned properly. And also my elbow. As you can see here, my elbow is parallel to my section. That's really, really key also. Your elbow is parallel to the section. All right. Cool. We're getting there. We're getting there. And don't forget, the very front is going to be the longest point. So I like to layer it this way. And keep in mind that the hair here grows a little more down this way. So it's always going to be longer. So sometimes you have to really, really extend the hair forward like that, or else it's going to be too long. And now I'm working into the corners and the front hairline. And now here is where, okay, let's turn a little more this way here, facing the camera. Here is where we're now cutting the corners. And the corners are kind of where the round of the head is. And that is what's going to blend the whole thing in nicely. Okay? That's right into this area, right into here. The corners are essential. Now, a lot of times people say, oh, cut the corners, blah, blah. To me, all right, a haircut will grow. When you cut hair, or if you're doing it on yourself, or you're doing it on a client, or whatever the hell you're doing when you're cutting hair, you want to make sure that it's going to grow out really, really good. And sometimes by doing certain things, by leaving corners or this and that, it's going to grow out in a very awkward stage. That's why my haircuts grow out so good, because you know I cut it long term. All right, if that makes any sense. I think long term when I cut. All right. Well, this wasn't so bad here. Now look. Now I'm standing. Let's see how this is. I'm really curious to see how this looks. I hope we can get a nice view of this whole thing. Now I'm going to go back in. Now again, the hair is drying, which is fine. I cut this, we cut this, and now this is the secret right here. The secret to this whole thing is to, again, follow the head shape, and now is when you go a little bit higher and you raise up the comb to connect with the middle. This is like literally, this is the money part right here, is when you work it, work, and then bam, there's that piece where you have to really connect it. And that is what softens it, that's what gives it that good blend, and that's when we're kind of, you know, we've got a good shape. If it's too long right into here, it's going to be awkward, but this is where following the head shape is crucial. Now, just for fun, I'll go in and add some texture to it, doing some point cutting, just like this right into here, which is totally cool. Point cutting adds some softness. Let's spin the head around. See how we're looking on this side. I'm going to go back and do some more scissor over comb, just because I want to blend it a little bit better. And now again, here is where, look how I'm working, as you can see this. All right, see, I'm working, the comb and the scissor are constantly working together in one kind of motion. And now we're doing the same thing on the other side. Lock the comb in, lift up, and this is where we blend everything and connect everything. So you always want to take a step back as well. You want to take a step back, you want to see how everything looks, you want to make sure it's all balanced, you want to make sure it's even, and looks like to me we're looking pretty good. Not bad for my first ever virtual reality or 360 haircut. First ever, probably in history. I even talked to the camera company and they said this is the first. So literally we're making history right here together, people. And I wouldn't be here without you guys. You all motivate me, inspire me, but at the same time, I don't follow the trends of everybody else. I like to create my own trends. I follow, the path that successful people have led, and they've given examples. And what I'm doing is I'm creating my own stuff. I almost pretend like there's nobody else out there. Nobody else out there. I think it's interesting when everybody else is doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, which is kind of funny. But I don't watch other people for their ideas, and I don't do the same thing. It's always so saturated because, be unique, be yourself, be original. That's my whole thing. And hopefully this will maybe inspire some of you guys to do different stuff, okay? All right, so now I think the haircut is complete. I think it's looking pretty good. Just to add a little bit of texture, here's a really cool technique, and you guys can kind of zoom in. Also, you can zoom in. If you pinch, you can zoom in, and you can see. I'm doing these little twists, and I'm chomping into it with the shears. And that adds some really, really cool texture as well. Last but not least, I want to go in with my thinning shears. And that is going to just give it a softer blend. Scissor over comb with the thinning shears. I always suggest doing this. I think it works really, really well. And it's something that always kind of softens the shape and pieces it all together. All right, so now for the blow dry, I'm going to use Tidal Wave. Okay, Tidal Wave is my sea salt volumizing spray. Just going to spray it in a little bit. It's a great pre-styler. Here's my blow dryer, right down into here. And let's blow dry it. Now with the blow dryer, what you want to do is you want to constantly kind of work, depending on the style, but we're going for a messy style right here. I always like to blow dry the hair forward. All right, when you blow dry the hair forward like this, it helps prevent from any calyx acting up or anything like that. And I always like to cut wet into dry as well. Cutting wet into dry allows you to get the style done much faster. All right, that looks good. And if you pan down onto the floor, you will see that there's hair everywhere. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use talc, which is like my #1 product right here. All right, and you can simply dab it in, or you can squeeze it like this. You can take a couple little squeezes from the bottle, and bam, it goes right in. A little goes a long way. And now we're going to style it. So with the styling, you want to literally try to mess up the hair. All right, you want to mess it up. You want to piece it out. You don't want anything too solid. A lot of people flatten their hair and you style it. That's the one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to start doing, especially as guys, you don't want to start doing this. Or I'll see a lot of guys doing. You got to get in there. You got to get in there and you got to style it. Okay? And see what I'm doing? I'm getting in, I'm piecing it, I'm adding some texture to it, and this is what's really, really going to create that cool shape. And I think this is a really, really cool, somewhat masculine look, really edgy, especially with the beard, something cool for the summer. All right, guys, so here is the finished haircut, and I had so much fun doing it. I really hope you enjoyed it. Basically, the top is probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in length, and what I did again is I used a 3 3/4 guard, worked it all the way up, did a lot of it by hand, added some texture to it, and blow dried it. And then I used Tidal Wave when it was wet, and then talc when it was dry to style it. And as you can see here, it's got a really cool kind of rugged, edgy style. And I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this. Well, We made history here, folks. We really, really made history. Let me know. I want this all over the news. I want you to share this. Any possible thing you can do, anything way you can share this, it would mean a lot to me, because this is groundbreaking technology. And let me know if this helped you from an educational standpoint. But we're making history, and I think this is the first ever time a haircut has been done like this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for more videos with the Salon Guy.